Conservative Party leader Andrew Scheer is renewing his call for the RCMP to investigate how the Prime Minister handled the SNC-Lavalin file. And to talk about why and other topics as we head toward the October election, Andrew Scheer joins me now. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Okay, why call for a criminal investigation when the former Attorney General herself, Jody Wilson-Raybould, says that the Prime Minister did nothing criminal? Do you know something that she doesn't?
Well, the important thing here is that there's new information that has come to light since Jody Wilson-Raybould originally said that. The Ethics Commissioner's report has made a finding. This is an independent officer of Parliament, and he has concluded that there was an orchestration going on in the Prime Minister's office, going back and forth between SNC-Lavalin and putting that pressure on Attorney General. And essentially, they were talking to the defendant in a court case and then putting pressure on the Attorney General to get charges dropped. So we certainly believe that that warrants an investigation, and that is those are new details that have come to light since those original statements.
Well, we'll be following that story very closely in the near future, but we've got other things to talk about. You haven't been to any pride parades as leader. This is something that's going to come up every summer. You've been asked before. You will continue to be asked so long as you're a party leader. Will you ever attend a pride parade?
Well, as I've said many times, there are so many ways to show support for equality rights for all Canadians. I myself have a motion on notice in the House of Commons calling on the government to do more to help LGBT people around the world to escape from places where they're being persecuted. That's certainly where I'm focusing my efforts on. I'm glad that we live in a country where people can express themselves and march and show their pride and display who they are as Canadians, and I'll continue to defend that right.
Let's talk Ontario for a moment. According to a recent DART poll, Doug Ford is among one of the least popular premiers in the country. I think he's hovering around 29%. Another poll by Corbett Communications found that 60% of Ontarians are less likely to vote Conservative as a result of his policies. So what is your Ontario battle plan?
Well, you know, when people in Ontario think about the challenges that are facing this province, I remind them that the architects of that, the people who are working in the Kathleen Wynne and Dalton McGuinty governments, moved to Ottawa, and they're now doing for Justin Trudeau what they did to Ontario. So if we want to prevent what happened in Ontario over 15 years of Liberal government with skyrocketing energy prices, higher taxes, scandals, deficits, that's all happening now at the federal level. So we need to limit the damage that Justin Trudeau can do nationally, and that's by voting Conservative on October 21st.
Let's go to the other side of the world. You've been critical of the government's handling of our relationship with China. How would you do things differently?
Well, by doing something. I mean, Justin Trudeau has done nothing. I would stand up for Canada. I would stand up for Canadians who are being imprisoned unjustifiably, and I would stand up for Canadians' interests. Right now, Justin Trudeau has done absolutely nothing. We have 2 Canadians being jailed. We have canola, beef, and pork exports being blocked. I would start by withdrawing the Canadian taxpayers' money that Justin Trudeau sent to the Asian Infrastructure Bank, bring that back to Canada. I'd appoint an ambassador. We still don't have an ambassador on the ground in Beijing to start advocating for Canada's interests in the region, and I would find other ways, including increasing inspections on imports coming from China, which would also allow us to tackle the growing fentanyl problem in so many of our communities.
The U.S.-Canadian man known as Jihadi Jack back in the headlines as the British government has revoked his British citizenship. Do you think Canada needs laws on the books that would allow us to do the same?
Well, you know, Canadians made their views known on that in the last election, but I can tell you I wouldn't lift a finger to try to bring someone who went to go fight for ISIS back to Canada. Very disappointed when we see examples of, under the current government, officials trying to help Jihadi Jack come back to Canada. I certainly wouldn't do that. He's in prison now, and that's where he belongs.
I want to ask you a question that relates to all party leaders. You took a family picture, went on Twitter, and you got criticized online because it looked like nobody was wearing life jackets while fishing. It reminded me of when Justin Trudeau was attacked for eating pizza, and he had some what looked like plastic cutlery after he just banned them. Is it a problem for all party leaders to stay tightly focused on their messages on Twitter? And how do you get past that?
Well, you know, on the plastics one with Justin Trudeau, I think that one really went viral because he had just a few days prior, announced some kind of a ban. So it looked very hypocritical. I know there are lots of pictures of Justin Trudeau with his kids on boats without life jackets. I certainly wouldn't I would never criticize his handling his duties as a parent. we certainly followed all the rules on the boat that we were on. We actually asked the question when we got on the boat, what are the rules? And we followed all of those. So yeah, when we're in this world where images go around instantaneously, we are always a little bit extra cautious to think about what's going on in there. But at the end of the day, a lot of this is just traffic on Twitter, and I try not to read the comments on tweets.
Sure, but there is, it's noise, right? And it's a zero-sum game. For every tweet that someone reads about life jackets, they're not reading about conservative policy. So how do you tighten the message up online so that you can really cut through that noise?
Yeah, well, look, you're highlighting a challenge that I think everyone faces in this country in public life, not just in politics, but in so many other types of ways. Obviously, when we're communicating our messages, we stay focused on a topic. Social media is
It's relatively new.
It's relatively new, but it's also, different platforms have different types of interactions. And, when we post things on Facebook, when people have to have their name and face behind what they're commenting on, compare that to Twitter, where you can have a lot of anonymous accounts and people just trying to drive traffic just to be hostile. We tend, to take that with a grain of salt. But I think at the end of the day, when people see me or other party leaders out enjoying Canada, having a good time with our kids or our families or our friends, that's the important part of the message. So I was in Atlantic Canada. My kids are from the prairies, getting them out on a boat, fishing for mackerel. That was a special moment, and I'm glad I was able to take some time out of my busy schedule to share that with them.
You do indeed have a busy schedule. We appreciate you coming on here and talking about a number of issues with us. So thank you very much.
Always a pleasure.
Hope to see you again soon.
You bet.
Thanks for watching. If you like this, be sure to subscribe here.
And you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.